Over a year ago today, I was spending a majority of my time working for other people, whether that be working a normal 9-to-5 job at a golf course, or working for my dad, who was a plumber, or even when I was doing high ticket sales for a marketing agency. Throughout all of this time, yeah, I realized I was making money. Actually, I was making pretty decent money working 9-to-5 and then working with my dad. I was making about $1,000 a week. Slowly started to realize that trading all of my time for money was just completely voiding me of my freedom. Nowadays, I'm at the point where I run a business and I have people working under me, and now I work less than I ever had. Realistically, on my real estate business, I would say I work anywhere from 3 to 4 hours a day doing just normal, ordinary day-to-day operational tasks. I now just let my money work for me and let the systems and automations that I set up take control and generate me money. So if you watching are someone who is working for someone else currently, whether you're in some type of sales, working for a commission, or you're just working an ordinary 9-to-5 job, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because everyone needs to start somewhere and save up their first $10,000 to $20,000. But eventually you need to realize that you need to put your focus into something that's going to be able to work for you without it requiring you to put all of your effort and all of your time into that, because all you're doing there is just trading your time for money. So let me walk you guys through exactly how I transitioned from being a 9-to-5 employee, working 2 jobs at once, into being a high ticket sales rep for a marketing agency, into now being a successful wholesaler that does anywhere from 5 to 10 deals a month. So my journey in making money realistically started about 6 years ago, when I used to do YouTube and I used to do a bunch of other things that would make me a small amount of money every single month. Now, this did come with a lot of learning experiences though. I tried to start a clothing brand, I tried to do drop shipping, I tried to do basically all of that in my teenage years, and doing all of that really just solidified the fact that yeah, I wanted to be an entrepreneur when I'm older, and I didn't want to go like the traditional college 9-to-5 route. So after getting tired of like all the failures, like I was trying so hard to start up all these businesses with like low amounts of capital, because like I said, I was spending all of the money that I would make. When I was in my junior year of high school, I was 17 years old. I decided to actually just get a job and save up some money so I can put it into a business. Now, I did not get this job with the intent of just going in to make money and then do nothing with it and save it and stack it up and invest it. Like, that was not my intent. My intent was to eventually save this money up so I can put it into a business and then just use that business model to quit the job. So everything I did had intent and had a plan. It's not like I was going into getting a job for no fucking reason at all. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. So from about January last year to about June, I was working these jobs every single day, trying to save as much money as possible so I can fund a business. And during this time, I was learning the model of wholesaling real estate. On all of my off hours, I would come home, try and cold call, I would try and make offers, I would do underwriting, just so I could get the gist of the business. Over those 5 months, obviously I didn't close any deals because I was doing cold calling. I didn't actually have any systems or automations in place to really get me anywhere. But what I did gain is the experience, and I got pretty good on the phone. I was a decent sales rep, and overall I just knew the basics of the business. So I was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I was saving up capital and learning the business. Once I was at the point where I had about $5,000 saved up, I decided to just leave those 2 jobs and go all in with wholesaling, which was honestly a mistake that I made. When you guys start out your business, you want to keep your 9-to-5 jobs for as long as possible so that you have consistent streams of income to actually fuel that business. I spent that $5,000 so quickly, and I basically lost it all. I didn't have any guidance, so I was basically just trying to throw money at whatever marketing I saw on YouTube and hope that it worked, and it eventually did not work. So for my guys in wholesaling, you guys know that once you spend money on marketing, if your marketing is bad and it does not generate good enough leads, you literally just lose that money. It just goes into thin air. So obviously that's what happened to me. I spent a couple grand on marketing, lost it all, and I took a step back and I was like, okay, I need to really hone in. I need to focus on what I'm doing. So from there, I started part-time just selling for a marketing agency. One of my good friends at the time owned this marketing agency, and I would make a couple $100 here and there from, commission and whatnot. And during this entire process of me working these 9-to-5 jobs and everything, I was just like, okay, I am at the lowest level of the totem pole right now. I am making everybody else on top of me rich. I would see my manager at the golf course pull up every single day in a $150,000 car. Okay, I'm making this guy rich, and I am just getting paid $15 an hour. And same thing with the marketing company. I would see a $4,000 paid in full come in, and I'm only making $400 of that. And I was like, okay, I need to get to the point where I'm making the $4,000 on this end, and then someone else is, generating the deal for me. So I saved up a little bit more money, got back into marketing, but actually this time did it right. I surrounded myself with people who actually were doing deals. I just picked their brain and got my marketing and systems in place. Once I actually had proper marketing and a proper sales sequence in place, this is when everything changed. I was able to actually see consistent good leads come in. I was able to see consistent contracts getting locked up, and I was actually getting buyer interest on my deals. I closed my first deal in Q4 of last year, and that's when everything changed. Obviously, I just rebounded all of that money back into the business and scaled from there. And what this has allowed me to do is buy my time back. So obviously at this point, when you're the owner operator of your own business and you're also the only employee, you're in charge of doing everything. So essentially you're going to be working these 10-hour days going through all of your leads, doing all the back end, doing all of the automations, and then also doing all of the front end, so like the actual sales and the calling and giving offers and stuff like that. So it's a grind to close your first couple of deals, but once you get the money to reinvest, you start delegating out and you slowly start buying back your time. Nowadays, we have 3 or 4 VAs working for us. We have an acquisitions rep. I do basically only dispo, and that is the type of setup you want, because now I don't have to do any of those tedious tasks. Like I don't have to be the one on the phone. I don't have to be the one pre-qualifying the leads. All I have to do is wait for these deals to get locked up and then pass them off to the buyers that we already know we have. So that's just my story. So what I want you guys to get from this video, regardless of business model, whatever job you're working right now, I want you to realize that you have to have a goal in mind from working that job. So if you're a sales rep right now, if you're a 9-to-5 worker, there has to be a reason you're working that job, right? Especially if you're at a point in your life where you don't have to pay many bills. Like I was in high school, so obviously I was still living with my parents. If you fall in that same persona, you need to have a goal in mind for working that job, all right? How much money do you need to save up to start that business? How much time do you need every single day to start that business? Can I start learning it now while I'm building up the capital that can later fund my business? That needs to be your goals in mind, and you need to start thinking about that as soon as possible. Because what people say online is correct, right? Money does not buy happiness, but what does buy happiness is freedom. And the only way you can get freedom nowadays is just by having money. I have the freedom to go travel wherever I want. I can do basically whatever I want, whenever I want, and I can work wherever I want off of my laptop simply because I set up the business in a way and I worked my ass off for that year, saving up capital and having a plan for every single thing I did to eventually get to the point where I'm at now. So all in all, that's the story of how I went from working, 12 hours a day to now where I'm at the point where I'm only working 3 hours a day and I'm making 10 times the amount of money I was making before. Obviously, this is a real estate-based channel, so if you want to get into the same business model that changed my life, you can look at my other videos, and it details exactly how I got into the business and how you can get into it as well. So it has more niche content that surrounds like actually how to do certain aspects of the business. But other than that, leave a like. Let me know if you like this style of content that I'm starting to make. And yeah, boys, I'll see you in the next one.